Well, it's kind of curious that this would be called the second best game of the year, but our friend Bill Conley over at ESPN has got the Georgia Ohio State game as the number two game of the season in college football. I don't see how it's not the I don't see how it's not the best game of the season. I mean, you're talking about two teams that went back and forth the entire night. Um, it goes without saying, I should say that it was one of the best games in Georgia football history. But you know, this Ohio State Georgia game will go down as one of the most consequential games in a long time. I think he's got TCU Michigan as the better game. That's just not true. Like in terms of as a game, it wasn't the better game. But I don't. I mean, he may just be doing 1-2 that way. I'm not sure, but there was more. There was certainly more drama with Georgia Ohio State than TCU Michigan because whereas TCU Michigan came down to the last minute of the game, it really didn't come down to the last play of the game. Um, that's a little bit. That's a little bit. I'm picking through some stuff right there, but I do think that couple things here. First of all, Ohio State and Georgia are bigger names than TCU for sure, and they both are arguably bigger names than Michigan. That they were playing one another rather than just playing Texas Christian, I think that elevates the game. But I think all you have to do is watch the actual game um, to see that the level of play I think was a little bit higher. But it was the runs during the game. It was like a basketball game. Here's what Bill had to say about it. He said, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl between Georgia and Ohio State nearly gave us an incredible redemption arc. After getting blown out by Michigan, Ohio State backed into the last college football playoff spot, but the Buckeyes nearly took down the defending champs. They probably should have, honestly. They took an early 21-7 lead thanks to a pair of Marvin Harrison Jr. touchdowns. And when Georgia erased the deficit on a 17-0 run, Ohio State went on a 17-0 run to go up 38-24 heading into the fourth quarter. Now, the important part here to remember is that uh, Georgia finished the game with a lopsided fourth quarter. Ohio State scored just before the half, and then they got a 10-0 win in the third quarter. But that game was really about the final quarter of the game. In fact, I write about it, and that part of this book is done. Pick up Double Dogs today. If you pick it up today, you're still going to get confetti. Here's what the confetti looks like. Okay. All right. Now everybody's not going to get that many pieces. I don't know, but pick up Double Dogs today. Order it now. The confetti is not going to be something that you're going to be able to pick up in the future. I'm just going to tell you that we did a bit of a confetti audit over the weekend. I never thought I'd use that term or those terms, but if you get the order today, you're gonna get confetti. The closer we get, well, I don't know when we're gonna run out, but it's not gonna be. You need to pick it up today. That's the best chance of making certain that if you want it, you're gonna get it. Okay, pick up Double Dogs today. Um, that final quarter of Georgia Ohio State was just an exceptional rally by Georgia for sure, but I mean, I'm not sure there's a better way to go into a new year than with two of the biggest brands in college football playing one another in the capital of college football. I mean, that's what we write about in Double Dogs, by the way. I mean, it's something that's talked about quite a bit in the book. And there's some behind the scenes stuff that I'm not going to talk about on air. You're going to need to get the book for that. But there was all sorts of intrigue, paranoia, etc., going into this game. Some of y'all read about that in the media, but some of it's better explained in the book. And Ohio State really did seem like the better team until the fourth quarter when it mattered the most, and that's when they really got off schedule, off kilter. I mean, for all that we're going to hear in the future about James Harrison being a dominant player, he was great in the first two quarters. He didn't do much after that, and then he got hurt in the third. So, it's too bad. But it's not like he was just running, crazy all over Georgia. He scored, right? But there's no indication. We can't go back and like, what if I don't even know. What if Nolan Smith plays the whole game for Georgia, right? I mean, we don't know. These are kind of silly things that people get into discussions about. Marvin Harrison playing the whole time. He got hurt. It's terrible. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just like Nolan getting hurt or George Pickens getting hurt last year, or in the name of what JT Daniels getting hurt last year. I mean, whatever. I mean, it's not good. But the just go back and watch the fourth quarter of this game. I mean, it was, Georgia had to score every time they had the ball, with the exception of the last play of the game when they knelt on it. They had to score. Ohio State needed to score, and they couldn't. And they got all the way down the field, and the fourth quarter was full of all sorts of intrigue. The timeout, the back end zone, the corner of the end zone, the field goal miss, all of these things. I mean, Darius Smith told me he felt like if the Ohio State kicker kicked it properly, that he would have blocked it. And a lot of times when I talk to these guys, I'm just saying, hey, I mean, guys say stuff. They don't really, I don't know if they mean it or not or what. I mean, I'm sure he meant it, but when you look at the images that we have from field level and then above, and that's also in the book, he might have been able to block that kick. I mean, if it were on target, but as we all know, it goes terribly far to the left. And that's something we really discuss and report in the book. We talk to every single player that was on the field for that play. We asked them what was going on. That's all included in Double Dogs. And I think that what that play meant was Georgia going to a national championship. It's just something you don't see a lot. Hey, listen, for a limited time, you see Doordash behind us. Our listeners can get up to 50% off of a $20 value and $0 in delivery fees when you download the Doordash app and enter the code DAWG, DAWG, just like dog post. That's 50% off of a $20 value and $0 in delivery fees when you download the Doordash app in the App Store and enter the code DAWG. Again, the code is DAWG, DAWG, just like dog post. That gets you 50% off of up to a $20 value, $0 in delivery fees with DoorDash. Make sure that you're getting this today. The link is going to be down below. This is subject to change and terms apply. The change that happened on that last play was that Georgia was going on to play for a national championship. Ohio State was going home to wonder what just happened, because the celebration after the game for Georgia is one that I have not seen in a very long time. When Georgia beat Alabama to win the national championship, that celebration was similar to the one against Ohio State. I would say the win over LSU in 2013 on the field was in the same universe. These were all, those were particularly LSU Georgia and Ohio State Georgia. Those were just tight back and forth games with haymakers and big players making big plays. CJ Stroud, Marvin Harrison, Stetson Bennett, A.D. Mitchell, Lad McConkey, Kenny McIntosh, two huge brands going back and forth in the capital of college football. I mean, I told Gary Stokan, who is the chief executive officer of the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, after the game, I said it was just an amazing event, an amazing game. The event, it really elevates the Peach Bowl, and it's a game that I know, in my view, there's only so many games that stick out like that game. Georgia Bama last year, to me, Georgia LSU in 13, Georgia Alabama in 12, Uh, maybe Georgia, Alabama in 7. I would have to kind of go back and look at some of the circumstances and just going off memory. There's not been a lot of memorable games like that. Maybe Auburn, Georgia, the blackout in 2007. Um, but this was different because it signified the meaning of the game was a national championship. I mean, Georgia celebrated after the game like they were going to win the national championship. And when you talk to some of the players, and that's what we talk about in the book in Double Dogs, some of them were not ready to say, "Oh yes, it felt like we had won the national championship," or "That was a national championship party." Because when I talked to them and when we talked to them, it was leading up to the TCU game, so they wanted to be careful about that. But I bet you now they would say, "Yeah, that really did feel like the national championship moment." And I can't remember, Ryan was the one asking that particular question, and he talked to 4 guys, and I think 2 of the 4 were saying, "Yeah, that's what it felt like," and the other 2 weren't ready to say that. But Bill Connolly's got it at number 2. I don't agree with that. I think that it was the best game of 2022 for a couple of reasons. Number one, because of the way that the game finished. Number two, because of the meaning of the game and the brands involved. You don't get a lot of Texas USCs. You don't get a lot of Georgia Oklahomas, which I left out earlier. But every now and then the sporting gods give us a game like that, and it was exceptional.